Welcome to our YouTube channel. Today we share the story of Maria Alvarez, a young woman whose cough led her into a courtroom. Maria sat at a long wooden table, her hands tight together while reporters set up cameras and lawyers whispered around her. Her attorney, Claire Benson, leaned close and told her to take a breath and simply tell the truth. Across the room sat Dr. Grant, the family doctor who once treated her. He looked smaller now, shoulders bent in a heavy gray suit as his lawyer flipped through notes. The judge called the court to order, and Maria walked to the stand, feeling the grain of the rail under her fingers. Claire faced the jury and said the case was about a patient who trusted her doctor and almost lost her life. She asked Maria where she worked when she first became ill, and Maria explained that she baked bread in Springdale, starting before dawn. She began coughing and thought it was flour dust, but the cough stayed, leaving her tired and thin. She visited a small clinic with bright posters and a sharp scent of disinfectant, where the doctor looked at her throat, said it was pneumonia, and gave her antibiotics. She did not improve. Instead, she woke at night drenched in sweat and grew weaker. A second visit brought only a stronger pill, still no tests, and Maria tried to believe him. One morning she could not climb the bakery stairs. Breathless, she let a coworker drive her to the hospital, where doctors ordered an X-ray and soon told her she had tuberculosis. No one at the clinic had ever mentioned TB. The judge ended the day's hearing, and as the room emptied, Maria stayed still, aware that telling this first part of her journey felt like finally releasing a breath she had been holding for months. Maria remembered the morning she first stepped into the little Springdale clinic, still wearing her bakery apron and holding a paper cup of tea for warmth, hoping a doctor could explain why her cough would not leave. The waiting room smelled faintly of lemon disinfectant, and a few posters warned about flu season, yet no sign mentioned tuberculosis. So she sat nervously until a nurse called her name and led her into a small room with pale walls and a single computer. Dr. Grant entered quickly, glancing at the chart without much eye contact, and asked if she smoked or had asthma, then listened to her chest for a moment before saying it sounded like pneumonia. Writing an antibiotic prescription without ordering a chest X-ray or any lab tests, assuring her that a week of pills and rest would solve everything. Relieved but still uneasy, Maria left clutching the slip of paper, convinced she only needed to finish the medicine, but by the third day the cough burned deeper, her breath felt tight, and she noticed sweat soaking her pillow each night. Yet she kept working at the bakery, telling herself to wait until the bottle was empty because the doctor had sounded so sure. After 10 days with no change, she returned to the clinic where Dr. Grant frowned, asked a few brief questions, and decided she must have bronchitis instead. Prescribing a stronger antibiotic and suggesting over-the-counter cough syrup, never mentioning the possibility of a serious lung infection or recommending further testing. And Maria, tired and hoping to get well, accepted the new pills and walked back into the cold morning, unaware that the real illness inside her lungs was spreading silently while precious time slipped away. Over the next few weeks, Maria tried to keep up with her bakery shifts, but each morning felt heavier than the last, and by midday her chest ached as if something inside was pressing against her ribs. The cough became deeper, harsh enough to make her bend forward and hold her stomach, and at night she woke drenched in sweat, trembling as she tried to catch her breath, sometimes sitting by the window for air while the rest of the town slept. Friends noticed the change in her face, the way her clothes hung looser on her frame, and they urged her to see another doctor, but Maria hated the idea of starting over and hoped the stronger pills would finally work. Yet by the second week her strength was nearly gone, and she began skipping work, hiding her shortness of breath from her family. One cold morning she tried to climb the bakery stairs and had to stop after only 2 steps, gasping and gripping the rail while the smell of fresh bread drifted from above, and a coworker, alarmed, offered to drive her straight to the hospital. There, a calm nurse led her to an exam room, and a young physician named Dr. Patel listened carefully as she described the cough, the weight loss, the nights soaked in sweat, and the months of antibiotics that never helped. Without hesitation, Dr. Patel ordered a chest X-ray and asked for a sample of her sputum, explaining that they needed to look for infections beyond simple pneumonia. And within hours, Maria learned the truth she had been waiting for. She had tuberculosis, an illness that required a special combination of medicines and close follow-up. And as relief mixed with fear, she realized that someone had finally taken her illness seriously and given it a name. But she also understood how close she had come to losing everything because the right tests had been delayed for so long. Maria started her treatment the very next day, sitting with a public health nurse who explained that tuberculosis could be cured if she followed the plan carefully. taking several different pills each morning and meeting once a week so someone could check her progress. At first, the routine felt heavy, and the medicine sometimes made her stomach turn, but she kept thinking of the morning on the bakery stairs and promised herself she would never reach that point again. So she drank plenty of water, rested when she could, and slowly felt her strength return. During those weeks, she also met with Claire Benson, the lawyer who had offered to review her case after hearing about the long delay in her diagnosis. And together they gathered copies of medical records, prescriptions, and test results, each page painting a picture of how quickly the first clinic had decided on pneumonia without looking for other causes. Claire arranged for an expert in lung diseases to read the files, and he noted that Maria's symptoms, the cough, the feverish sweats, the weight loss, were classic signs of tuberculosis, and any careful doctor should have ordered a chest x-ray before prescribing antibiotics. So the expert prepared a report explaining that the delay could have allowed the infection to worsen and even spread to others. As Maria's energy grew, she felt both thankful for the team helping her heal and angry that so much of her suffering might have been avoided. Yet she also wanted to believe that Dr. Grant had never meant to hurt her, that he had been too rushed, too sure of himself, and she hoped that by telling her story she might help other patients get the right tests when something serious is hiding behind a simple cough. When the final day of the trial arrived, the courtroom felt calmer than before, sunlight slipping through tall windows as Maria took her seat beside Claire. After days of testimony, the jury returned, and their verdict confirmed that Dr. Grant had failed to meet the standard of care by not ordering tests or considering tuberculosis, though they also believed he had not meant harm, and they awarded Maria enough to cover her medical bills and lost wages while urging the clinic to improve its procedures. Maria felt a quiet relief, not from money but from knowing her struggle had led to changes that might protect other patients, and later, standing outside with Claire, she told reporters that no one should ignore a cough that lasts more than a few weeks, and that doctors must listen carefully before writing a prescription. Months later, with her treatment complete and her lungs finally clear, Maria returned to the bakery, this time as a visitor carrying a warm loaf for the co-workers who had once rushed her to the hospital. And as she left, she thought about how close she had come to losing everything. Grateful for the nurse who caught the truth in time and for the chance to use her voice so that others could learn from her journey. If you enjoyed this story and want to hear more about real cases that teach us how careful healthcare can save lives, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who might need encouragement to speak up when something about their health doesn't feel right. After the verdict, Maria stood quietly by the courthouse windows, sunlight sliding across the polished floor as she tried to understand that the long fight was over. Claire joined her with a reassuring smile, and together they walked outside where the breeze felt fresh and new. Then later that evening, Maria met her parents in a small cafe across the street, sharing bread and quiet laughter as she explained how the jury had balanced accountability with compassion, deciding that Dr. Grant's error deserved correction but not cruelty. And over the following week, she kept meeting the public health nurse who guided her through the last stage of treatment, learning how the clinic had already added new rules, so anyone with a stubborn cough would receive an x-ray and sputum test before antibiotics were given, which made Maria proud yet also thoughtful about the responsibility her story carried. She decided to speak at a community health night, standing before neighbors, students, and young clinicians to describe the bakery mornings, the breathless stares, and the relief of finally hearing a real diagnosis. And people came forward afterward with thanks and questions, inspired to trust their instincts and ask for careful testing. While far away, Dr. Grant reflected on his own choices, joining a course on lung infections and sending Maria a short letter of regret that she placed inside a book as a quiet sign that even mistakes could lead to change. As months passed, she returned to the bakery carrying a warm loaf for old co-workers, walked home savoring the easy rhythm of her breath, joined a patient rights panel to speak about second opinions and attentive listening, began posting articles online to help others spot early symptoms of tuberculosis, and even organized a small gathering in the park where friends, nurses, and lawyers shared food beneath leafy trees, celebrating the new safety rules and the community built from hardship. And when Maria finally stood by the river watching boats drift past, she felt only gratitude for clear lungs, for lessons learned, and for the chance to tell viewers that a voice, spoken calmly and firmly, can turn fear into safety and give every patient the power to shape a better ending. Thank you for watching this story on our channel. We hope Maria's journey showed how careful doctors, clear questions, and patient courage can save lives. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, share it with friends, and subscribe so you don't miss new stories about health, safety, and real people who inspire us to speak up. And if you have an experience about a wrong diagnosis or a medical mistake that you would like us to cover, send us an email. Your story might help someone else find answers in time.